Tukatalks is the show where fashion industry experts share real-world knowledge gained through hands-on experience. Hosted by Ram SAREEN, the founder of Tukatech.
Hello, Marta. I'm so glad that you finally made it to Los Angeles.
I've been hiding in Texas.
I know. This is post-pandemic. Today is the first day. No masks in California, so long as you're vaccinated. It's a pleasure to have you on Tukatalks. But this Tukatalks is more geared towards what happened during pandemic. What changes were made? How did that affect the garment or the fashion industry? What did fashion industry do during this lockdown? How did they pivot and work with the government for the PPE? You've had such huge transformations from a communal factory with Lefty's Production to really running away to Texas with your children and still run the business and run it effectively. So I'm going to let you talk about this.
It was a crazy year. It's like you look back at moments of your life and so many of the years or days can blend together. But I used to go to summer camp and it was 30 days a month every year. I remember what I wore the first day of school camp. I would remember I would keep in touch with friends I made, and it was 30 days out of 365 days, right? But it was always so special and so clear. I think I'm gonna just, as a person, just look back at those first months of COVID, and I'll have just such sharp memories of COVID and what I was doing and how I was pivoting in order to just make sure I could make payroll. It'll forever be with me, because those first few days, and I feel like for so many people, those first few days of the trauma of shutting down, wait, I'm not going to the grocery stores anymore. Wait, I'm supposed to spray my groceries. Wait, I'm supposed to, those first few palpable weeks and months were just so crazy. But for Lefty, they were really crazy. We lived in California for 15 years. I met my husband in Texas, and we were both moving out to California. So California kind of raised us as a couple, and we lived here by ourselves with no family for the last 15 years. And in February, we were about to really double down on California. We were about to get a big factory, and we were about to buy a new house here. And we were kind of negotiating all that in February. And then COVID hit, and it just was like a gut instinct came. And I was like, I need to be in Texas with family. I can't be without my family right now. We just got on a plane, 2 kids, 2 suitcases. We thought we'd be here 2 weeks. We've been there ever since. And our stuff's still in some storage unit in California, so we'll deal with that later. But it's, so we transitioned, and I ran my company in a sense where if I had a 4-day vacation, I would be at the factory, every day. If I was leaving on a Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I would put in extra hours so I could be at the factory. I'd prep all day to be gone for just a Friday to a Monday. And the idea that I've been running the company remotely for 15 months now, it would have taken a global pandemic to get me out of there. And it did. And the company runs way better without me, and with me being able to trust the systems that I've put in place and to really realize that I don't have employees. I have a family and I have a team. And that you can talk and you can think that, and you can, as a business owner, you can feel that, but you have to act on it. And to know that we're a family. Oh, this person needs this because their parents are sick, or this person needs this accommodation because, and it's like everything works because we're a bunch of family members working together to make something, versus feeling like I had employees. It's like this mental shift that completely happened. And it was something that could have never been taught to me. It was a level of trust that I had to be able to really understand and like really treat them like almost like a child that needs something, versus like, I don't know. I had to completely change my identity, and the company could not be better because of this like mental shift that I had to make. They don't need me to tell them, you know, that the cut is finished, bring it to this sewer, move it from A to B. It's like the foundation was there. And at the very beginning of COVID, I was forced into this change. It wasn't like I wanted to do this, right? Like I'm a stubborn person, right? Like, so it's not like I wanted this. I was completely forced into this because, you know, we have, 42 people on payroll, and I didn't want to go down, and I wasn't going to go down. And we had probably close to $1 million of business cancel within. Everybody's like, take the stuff off the machines. How far into production are you? Can we get a refund? Cancel this. Everybody just bailed on their orders. And I wanted to honor it to support my clients. And meanwhile, I still had payroll to pay.
So you had nothing coming in, but guaranteed money going out to support your team and make sure that they don't starve or they don't. So.
And I had a conversation. So the first few days I had the conversations, and I was at a park with my kids and, kind of sitting at a park where nobody was, and hand sanitizing the whole park, of course, because that's effective. But anyway, I thought it was. So I'm at a park with my kids, and I'm talking to my vice president, and we're talking about, okay, let's cut this person's hours. Instead of working 40 hours, this person will work 30 hours. We're not going to fire this person, but let's take them to 36 hours. So we started just shifting schedules and stuff, thinking, and I call one of my employees. She's Tubi, love her to death. I love all my employees. And I tell Tubi, I can only afford 30 hours. And I just hear on the other side of the phone, I understand, and I could just hear her figuring out her life. And I was like, no, we're not doing it. Work overtime, business as usual. Y'all run Lefty. You know how to run Lefty. When this pandemic is over, the clients are going to need us again. You do Lefty. I don't want to be CC'd on one email. I don't want to be on anything. I'm going to go make friends with hospitals. And that's what we did. I had people, everybody's working from home. I had one of my amazing account managers was like, I'll handle sales. Like everybody kind of like rose to the occasion. Everybody kind of just like, I'm moving the fabric rolls. We went into we moved our whole infrastructure, our whole building shut down. Luckily, I had left town. I lived in a 927 square foot apartment that they used as a fulfillment center for the first few months of COVID. Thank God we needed my apartment, And so we just totally rose to the occasion. Everybody moved around. And then I took on a brand new career and started networking with, and it was like, I had really felt like I had been like put on the planet for this. It's like I knew how to manufacture in America. I knew how to talk to customers. I had a whole development arm, and I knew how to just shift. And, Kaiser gave me my first order on March 20th, which was, it saved the company.
It's a two-way street. There weren't too many people who understood the PPE products, whether they were limited by the know-how, how to make those, or had the infrastructure. But one thing is for certain, the hospitals needed those supplies. The frontline workers, they really needed help. So for you to be able to pivot and fulfill that itself must feel very gratifying.
It's so funny because I was on a conversation, a conference call with Yale University, and they're asking me, this is like March 17th, early on, right? And they're asking me, well, are your gowns level 1 or level 2? And I was like, ladies, I make bikinis for a living. I don't know what level 1 or level 2 means. You need my help? Like, I can sew anything, but I don't even know your language, And it was me really just being me and explaining to them, like, look, I know I can make this for you. And in the meantime, my husband's telling me about PPP loans, right? And I'm like calling it for the first month, I'm calling it PPP instead of PPE, Like, I don't even know what I'm doing, right? Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, the PPP gowns. And I'm like, oh no, that's the loan my husband's telling me about. No, not the PPP loan, the PP. Okay, I'm making PPE. Like, I didn't even know the language, but I knew the language because it was humans needing stuff as quickly as humanly possible. Because if not, the nurses were wearing trash bags. And that is the reality of the situation, is nurses were wearing trash bags. And we, want to forget about it and wipe it under the rug and, not remember those first few moments because it was really unfortunate.
Sadly, this was not attacking only a country. This was a global. So I do want to share this, and I know that my people reached out to your people too. We saw it since we don't manufacture. We're a technology company. And we never wanted to cut hours or wages or lay off anybody. My strong belief is just like the good times don't last, bad times don't last.
Can we quote that?
Yeah.
Can we quote that?
It is true.
I'm gonna have like a little purse of Ram quotes. And that'll be one of them.
Well, thank you.
It's true, the bad times don't last.
They don't. You just have to weather the storm.
Yeah.
These are the people who supported you in good times. They helped you make money. It's not their fault for this pandemic. If they are part of your family, then you've got to take care of them. So globally, we never cut an hour of anybody. We never asked somebody to take money off or take cuts. We paid them full wages. Now, of course, there are a lot of people who understand that they're not adding any value. Okay. Very quickly, we realized that the entire garment industry is capable of doing a lot more in cut and sew, but they have zero understanding of PPE products. Whereas Tukatech, we have a lot of people who have experience in PPE product working with certain customers, industrial products, hospital products. So very quickly, I put a team together. And we call that relief@tukatech.com. We ask people, if you need help with patterns, we'll make the patterns for you. We'll make a 3D samples for you. will make markers for you so you can now just cut, sew, and ship. Believe it or not, and it was all pro bono.
We used
Whether it was, yeah, I'm sure you did, because in the first 2 months, I think 300 plus million products were made from these markers and patterns. We didn't charge a penny from anybody, and we didn't say, oh, it has to be only Tukatech customers or somebody. There were a lot of Gerber users and Lectra users. This was not the time to look at his mind. No, we all were in this together, and we all had to rise above all this bullshit that goes through and just make it happen. And I'm so glad that, and I tell you, it's not just me.
That rawness,
it's
right?
not, but it's not just me. It's my people felt very good. They were all working from their homes, and you know, they were like more than happy. I'll tell you, there were times when 3 o'clock in the morning, California time, I have people on Zoom supporting customers in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka live on the Zoom, controlling their computers from AMI or whatever the software is to teach them, to show them. Did I ask these people to do that? No. So your point, where given the opportunity, every one of us have a leadership qualities. Mm-hmm. Everyone, if given the opportunity to act like an adult, to act like a responsible person and make the difference. And you'll be surprised how they turn out.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it was, I'd say, fun. I'd even use the word fun. I mean, it was a global pandemic, but it was fun to throw your hat in the ring, help. You know, I ended up working a lot with Scott from UStrive. We ended up collaborating. I'm going to meet him this trip. I still haven't met him. You know, I was making him. He was dying. I mean, I ended up working a lot with Drifter, who I met here. And so it was just all of these resources. We all kind of just bonded together. We're not competition. We're friends. We're working as a team. And it's bigger than us. It's people's safety. It's not about us. It's crazy to say, but it was a lot of fun.
You see, I'm a very strong believer of collaboration. My father used to say like this, what is that? 1. Okay, what is this? 1. Put them together, they are 11. Okay, the power of togetherness.
11? Did you just say 11? You want to see my my little charm bracelet?
11. Yes, 11.
That's my lucky number.
So the power of collaboration is not just a one-way street. It's collaboration where one is helping the other is helping the first one. And both of them are gaining something out of it. This pandemic forced a lot of us to reach out for help or help others who needed help. And I'll tell you, if it was a short-term thing, this could have been like a fluke that, okay, I did once for that. This became a practice. Mm-hmm. So going back into this new world, so to speak, or new normal, what do you feel as a communal factory? I call your factory Tuka Center, but it's not just a demand manufacturing. It's not just a micro factory, the old buzzwords. It's more like a communal factory. This allows a lot of people. We have now, during this pandemic, we have a lot of these communal factories that become bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know whether you have those numbers, but the numbers that I have are just enormous number of startup companies who came into this. Some were forced into it because they lost their jobs, mm-hmm. and some just got their dreams come true because they found the new norm is making small quantities for what somebody needed rather than be a very, very big company. Yes, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these startups have gone into business. And we all know the success rate is going to be less than 20%. 80% of them are going to fail, no doubt. But the sheer number of that 20% is going to be so large that they're going to be nibbling big bites of these big retailers, and they are the one who was creating a new normal. New normal is, I want this for me. I can wait 3 days, give it to me. At an appropriate price. I very strongly believe the fourth revolution is coming from manufacturing globally. India will make for India, China will make for China, and US will make for US. During this pandemic, we've seen hundreds of new factories opened up here, much smaller, but the factories are tapping into the resources of others. What is your experience in that part of that, the growth into the private sector?
Bad times don't last, right? So I like that. You know, I launched my first company. I was in my first sales meeting when the stock market started crashing in 2007 and 8. And from that came Zulily from that recession. And that Zulily ended up launching Lefty. You know, with these times, yes, I can't tell you the number of people that I talk to that have lost their job. They've been home for a year. They don't want to go back to a job. They don't want to go back to a boss. In the last year, they might have become a TikTok influencer and they want to sell hoodies on TikTok that they tie-dye at home. That's one of my clients, you know, and they have become extremely successful because they, in a lot of ways, I feel like the train was starting to crash in the old model. The Barney's was going under, the Nordstrom was, you know, the big retailers, the wholesale model of fashion, the train was crashing, and COVID just made everything crash. And what it allowed is it allowed those dollars to be spent on the girl that you like her little TikTok videos and you're watching her at home and she's cool and she's quirky and she's wearing this hoodie that you really want and you buy it. It's this like artisanal difference of product. People don't want to just wear a dress that they get at Gap. It just doesn't, they don't know it, they don't feel it, they're not connected to it. They want that. I don't know. I started following interior designers. I act like in some ways it's like I want that pillow just because it was on her couch and it looks so cool. And I feel like she also has 2 boys, whatever it is, right? There was this connection over social media and over products that you took a whole global pandemic that's sitting at home that initiated it. And I don't think that's going away. I think that my clients that canceled orders, but a lot of them after a month or 2 started getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Why? Because they had their audience attention. And so at the beginning, their initial panic of, you know, going under, once they kind of realized that they actually have a very engaged audience, their sales went like crazy. And so I think a lot of brands, I think the idea of having a fashion line where you have dresses and pants and bathing suits and skirts and headbands and purses, and I don't think that's going to be the American way going forward. I think it's going to be way more my customers that are focused. I have a customer, Sweveralls. We make sweater overalls. Genius idea. And he sells sweater overalls. That's what he markets. That's what he sells. It's genius.
I have another customer
that is
who
the
took
new
t-shirts and made them into beautiful dresses from t-shirts just by reformatting, creating not the regular t-shirt, not the longer t-shirt that woman can sleep in, but now just giving a shape and create that as a dress so you're comfortable. I can put a little leggings underneath, not I, but a woman can, and have that thing on top and then go out if she needed to. Remember, everybody was covering their face. Remember, everybody was sitting in their own places, locked up. So what really was their release? The social media. Okay. People want to spend money. People want to shop. People want to do, but we were restricted. We couldn't touch it. We couldn't feel it. So let me look at the Yelp, or let me look at what somebody else is saying about it. We started trusting social media's influencers or the way it was being presented and so on. I tell you something.
I don't think it'll go back.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it'll go back. I don't think the days of having some mean buyer from, some big retail store be what's going to drive a business left or right. A business is going to be driven by the owner with the passion behind it. That's the way it's going to be driven.
What's the average age of your customer?
The average age of my customer would be under 40.
So these are the owners of the businesses.
Yes. I would say I probably have maybe 20% of my clients that are over the age of 50. They're young. They know how to do social. They connect with people. And they trust the communal factory, right? I have so many clients that are like, oh my God, you're $2 more expensive than if I do it myself. Go for it. Go do it yourself. Have fun. You should be spending your time. If you're a brand, you need to be marketing and sales. You shouldn't be dealing with full flex elastic.
It's a very interesting, last week I had a person come in from Western United States. And he said, well, I feel that I can make a good t-shirt in this country for $18 or less. If I could do that, I'm all in. And I'm thinking, these are the naive people who are the next generation of business owners. They don't understand how to really squeeze this vendor in Asia for 10 cents and 20 cents and trying to kill those people. They look at it, this product, I can get $69. My fabric, my material, my this thing, my cost is this, my overhead is this. I make decent money, and the buyer is saying, I know where it is made. I'm ready to support this.
100%.
This is where I have seen so many startups have become multi-million-dollar businesses. I have one client, Asher, who was making fabrics, expensive, nice fabrics. And he decided he wants to be a brand. He opened up just for hoodies and leggings and little t-shirts and sweatshirts and all kinds of, but better fabrics, better colors. Hired the designers, set up a micro factory. You wouldn't believe it. He cuts, sews, and ships what he has sold. It's not make a stock and then try to sell it. No, this is what technology did to him.
Yeah.
He's become a multi-million-dollar business outside of his fabric business. This is just one of 70 plus companies that I'm doing a little bit of thing called Made in LA. Together, if you look at it, this will beat anybody's trailer loads of stuff they're importing, because that's what the number of units are being produced. Smaller quantities, but every one of them is sold already.
There's just nothing, I mean, have you ever shipped something from China? Like, what's sustainable about that? The boxes, the plastic. I mean, there's nothing sustainable about just the shipping alone, let alone what cotton they're using or any of these other things. So if sustainability is real and we really care about it, we're going to start doing it in America, because it's less of a footprint, right? If we're just not shipping, just the non-shipping stuff alone makes it more sustainable. And so, or, you know, we are seeing some kind of nearshore activity happening. Okay, well, you know, maybe we drive it down to Mexico, or, you know, some collaboration closer to home. You know, and I think one thing that shook up the world, I mean, it shook up me, right? Like, I couldn't live without my nanny, right? Like, my nanny was my nanny, let alone my kid's nanny. I just couldn't live without her, which is why I headed to Texas. But wait, my nanny who takes the bus can't travel anymore? Wait, what? The ports are shutting down? Wait, what? Wait, you can't get toilet paper? Wait, what? This idea that things can change like that, I think was palpable.
Isn't that a rude wake-up call?
Totally. But it's also a good wake-up call.
Yeah, but things you take it for granted, all of a sudden, they are necessities.
100%.
You know, and then you start panicking because you don't have this, you don't have that. What happened during this industrial revolutions of automation and having more than what you needed and then throwing away what you did not need? Now that you know these are in limited supplies. Even some people were telling me the other day that I used to just pull the toilet paper and throw it away. But now I'm looking at, okay, these are the 4 rolls I've got, and I've got to manage. So this is, again, the abundance of resources were given a new shape called what is necessary. Let's just do that. That, to me, is another definition of sustainability. Awareness of our environment, awareness of our means, awareness of our necessities. Why do we need to? I don't need to do a lot of things.
My personal situation got magnified because I walked out of my house like I was going on a 2-week vacation, and I still don't have my stuff because so many people are moving from California. I can't even get movers to actually move us properly. So the truth of the matter is, you just don't, a lot of sustainability is you just don't need a lot of stuff. And there's something really beautiful about knowing your stuff and liking it and loving it. And I've always, as a person, felt that, right? Like, I always, you know, I joke with my mother-in-law. She'll want a Chanel bag, but maybe she thinks it's too expensive. So she'll buy one on sale that she doesn't really want because she thinks that the one she wants is, but she never got what she really wanted. I've always been the type of person. If I want something, I want that one thing. I've always had my just laser focus. I don't like buy 2 or 3 things that maybe I want. I want that one thing, and I go and I get that one thing. I've always had that. But that alone is sustainable, right? Because you can want something, you can strive for something, and you can go get it. But fast fashion, it's about never being in love. It's about never liking anything too much. It's about just collecting, in hoarding, in not really ever getting what you
and
need.
then throwing it away.
And it's kind of a disgusting practice.
Yeah.
And I love that I look at my kids' clothes, that I've done the same laundry. And when we got to Texas, we had a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. And now we have a 4-year-old and a 7.5-year-old. And the clothes the 7.5-year-old wore when we got here, now the 2-year-old who's a 4-year-old, now he can fit into it. It's like I do laundry with those little pants, and I have like all these memories flooding in of him, you know, a different, I'm not gonna cry, but like a different child wearing it. It's like loving your stuff. And I think that's kind of what COVID, loving your family, being close to your family, realizing you don't need sushi every 4 days a week in order to be happy. You don't need this fancy restaurant. You kind of just need a good family and friends that you actually really care about. You don't need all these like plans and fake friends and
The value system.
It just totally shook up my core. But maybe that's what our world needed, you know? Like, as traumatizing as it was and as crazy as it was.
How can you become more loving than you already were? I'm falling way deeper in love with you now. Seriously, we've had our conversations over several years, and we even did our Tukatalks pre-COVID. And sometimes I look at some of these conversations we had when nobody knew what was.
That was right before too.
Right.
That was what, like in February?
In August, September.
Yeah,
when we
right
started.
before.
And if you watch one of my talks, I predicted by 2023 we'll be producing 40% less garments. We did not know about this pandemic, and that thing expedited the need for reducing the waste and the need for making what you need rather than just make it because it's more cheaper and then not know where the home is. Right.
$7.99.
Well, it's not even that. The worst part was that in 2019 they produced 120 billion garments for 7 billion people on this planet. 75% of that made it to the store. The other 25% didn't even make it to the store. They went straight into landfills. Of course, the markdowns and unsold garments and so on, we all know what happened to that. And the worst people, the worst, were the high-end clothing people, the big design houses, the most expensive ones, because they did not want to devalue their products by putting it on sales and so on. So they literally destroyed and filled the landfills. So they were the worst possible culprits. God forbid the young people to live like the way the older generation was so enamored with brand name and I need to have that name, you know, I need to have this label. The younger generation don't give a damn about it. Their priorities are different. So the big brands need to really reevaluate and look at it, what their focus is. Because the younger people, with the people who are fulfilling their needs, are going to eat the lunch of these big brands. And I can see this, if these guys are now waking up and they're not pivoting. The reason why I asked you the age of the person.
I mean,
is the older person is so fixated with this is how business is, this is how life is, because that's the only system, that's the only way they know. They have what we call the baggage. The younger one has no idea. The students coming out have a different idea. They may have a limited knowledge, but you know what? They are trained to figure things out. They understand the technology. They understand technology can fulfill their whatever the needs are. And they rather use the technology than to try to find. They'll make a mistake. So what? It's not a big mistake. But they pivot. Whereas the older generation is too afraid to make that mistake. And they go deeper into bigger mistakes without knowing it. So this is where I feel a lesson for the old timers is to look at what the younger people are doing, because they are here to stay. They are here to make the change. And if you're not listening to them, if you're not looking at them, you're going to be rudely surprised when somebody is going to say, I caught you with your pants down. And not a pretty sight. Okay.
I love the pivoting and paying attention to it. And look, I'm not 20. There's an energy and a naivety. If I personally wasn't a completely naive 20-year-old, I would never be doing what I'm doing. And there's something really beautiful about naivety that I never want to kill, or I never want to tell somebody their idea is not going to work, or explain all the obstacles they're about to face, because you know what? They might never face them.
Right.
Because when you're lean and you can move around, you can just pivot through things in a really great way. You know, I have so many clients that ship from their garage, and, you know, we have 60 extra white dresses they're not selling. All right, let's dip dye them. Let's turn them into an ombre pink. And they can pivot because they're really lean and malleable. And it's awesome. And they might never fall because they can pivot quickly. And I think that as corporations get bigger and bigger and bigger, I think fashion might get smaller and smaller and smaller. I really do.
I strongly believe that there's going to be 3 different markets. One is going to be what we call the generic products. They don't have a time stamp, date stamp, year stamp. They're generic products. Everybody's going to wear them 12 months a year, whether it's jeans or whether it is the underwear and t-shirts or whatever. There's certain categories. Sure, we can make them at the best possible factories, the cheapest possible price, because even if it comes in 2 months or 3 months later, it's okay. Even if I carry it, cost of carrying will still be justified. And then there are what we call fashion, where I want it for spring or summer, or I wanted this white shorts on this 90-degree weather, or I wanted this jacket. But you know what? I'm willing to pay the right price, so long as it fits me, so long as I look good in that, and it's appropriately priced. It doesn't matter where it's made. But if you have that, I have this moment today. I can wait for 3-4 days, but I can't wait for going to the stores and so on. And then there is a market which is what I call recession or people-proof. People who have so much money that they can afford to make a mistake, buy something that they're never going to use. And that's when new businesses come and called Real, or all these people, circular economy, because these people had so much bloody money that they bought it, stored it, and now they are trying to get rid of it to just make more room in the closet. But that percentage is so small, so we're not even going to deal with that. We're going to deal with the first one, which is big quantities, but it's going to be at overseas. Smaller quantities of fashion products is going to be local. And we're going to change the fashion to fit a person rather than just ideally make small, medium, large, extra large. I have a lot of my customers. One of them I really, really, really admire. His tagline is not SML, but it's size U, letter U. because they're custom making it. And that's where the business is today.
With your technology?
Well, technology. I don't believe that I have all the technologies, but I'm a very big proponent of the use of technology. I don't tell people you must buy my technology. No, just buy a technology. That is the way to make sure that you can stay in business.
Well, when you don't have sewers and you don't have the chance to sit down and sew, your technology is what allowed me to mark and grade and fit a gown for nurses because we were able to sew it on a computer. I mean, there was a real need for that technology. It's just, who knows if, we were pattern making at home, we were marking and grading at home. This person lives in Boyle Heights, this person lives in Downey. I mean, you had everybody scatter on in their homes. Had it not been for technology, Lefty could have just not survived. So.
Thank you.
Watch full episodes and clips at tukatech.com/Tukatalks or listen on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Tukateks YouTube channel and follow Tukatalks on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.